proceed with caution. Tired of lane, I'm exhausted. Poppin' Zanny Zan, sipping out the faucet. I'm confused, don't know what I'm doing. Wait, what I'm doing? Got me going where the f I'm going. Out of space, where I'm f going.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Starts now.
But both of my older brothers, both at the 10-year mark, was deciding, you know, as most guys do, I'm going to go ahead and make this a career.
Okay. Welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. We're back here on Monday. We have a familiar face.
Hi.
And a not so familiar face. Can you both introduce yourselves once again?
I'm Stephanie Whitehead. I am a case manager at New Vision House of Hope for the SSVF program.
My name is Peter Britton. I'm a client of Ms. Whitehead at the SSVF program.
And a veteran.
And a veteran.
So we are, for the last 4 weeks, the last month, we've been interviewing with Ms. Whitehead, and we've had one other veteran that came onto the show, and we now have this gentleman, Mr. Britton. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Britton is joining us as a second veteran, and it's actually, unfortunately, it's the last show of the series.
It is.
But maybe, possibly, we can continue this on in a different way. Definitely talking to many of the veterans. It's a different perspective than on the case management side, but we get a first-hand account of who these individuals are and the story behind who they are. They're not just veterans, they're not just, you know, people in life, but they actually have a story that's connected to something, one of the most important jobs that we have in this country that I believe. Mine? Oh, mine's not on. I think it's yeah, his is
mine's on.
Okay. But I'm going to let Mr. Britton kind of give an introduction of who he is, and we can start from pre-enlisting. Where are you from?
I'm from the South Bronx, New York.
Okay.
I grew up in the...
You're a ways from home.
Yeah, I'm a ways from home. I grew up in the South Bronx, the Jackson Projects.
Okay.
I grew up in a two-household parent. I had a mother and father. My father worked sometimes 2 jobs. There was 9. Okay. 9 of us in the household. My father.
Where did you fall in line?
I was the 7th child and the 3rd son.
Okay.
My father worked for 25 years or more on the Long Island Railroad, and while he was working on the Long Island Railroad, he worked 2 jobs to take care of 9 children. My mother was a seamstress, and then she stayed home and became a homemaker. And growing up in a household with 9 children and having that strict guidance with a mother and father, and not to say I was a mama's boy, but my father was my hero. You know, because my father taught me many things in my life that even today, as I look back on, you know, I may have not took hold of and used at times in my life, but as I look back on, you know, was to guide me through life. You know, I like hard work. My father always say hard work would pay off, and education is a thing to get ahead in America. You know what I'm saying? So for my father, and the story was that my father was big on his children getting education because he needed $300 at the time to enter into Tuskegee Institute. And he didn't have it, so he went in the Army and enlisted in the Army because he didn't have it. So for his children, education was big. He didn't want that. He always told us that we needed to be educated here in America from the times he grew up.
So we were talking a little bit throughout the break before we started, and you were telling us that you enlisted right out of high school.
Right, I enlisted after high school into the Navy.
Okay.
And during my aptitude test, I qualified as a medic. So I went to Hospital Corps School in Great Lakes, Illinois. And from Great Lakes, from Hospital Corps School, I was assigned to aircraft carrier and then to several Marine battalions as a hospital corpsman.
Did many of, and you said, I think two of your brothers, your other brothers,
Right, two of my
enlisted?
older brothers also enlisted, and they retired, one from the Air Force and one from the Army.
So was that your impetus? So you knew that was a way for you to...
Back at the, when I was growing up in my time, you know, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and for a black man, the way out the projects was either in the military or through sports.
Okay.
You know, there was a lot of racism in my time growing up. You know, even though I grew up in New York, you know, I had relatives down south that I had visited. So for a black man getting out of the projects in America was through the military.
Right.
And even though when I enlisted and both of my brothers went in, it was during the Vietnam War era.
Okay.
Even though Vietnam was going on, none of us really never thought we would be there, and all three of us wound up being there.
Were y'all overlapping in terms of your time?
Both of my brothers was there at one time, and they saw each other. I came behind.
Was there ever a fear, because Vietnam, unlike many of the other wars, unlike many of the other wars, it was a little bit more wilder than some of the other wars, because you guys were kind of pushed into something that you didn't know what was going on.
I wouldn't say more wilder, because war is hell. My brother wrote home to my mother one time that war is hell, and war was hell. And I wouldn't say it was wilder. I would just say it was more unpopular than Iraq or Afghanistan or World War II. It was a war that many people at the time thought that we shouldn't have been there. It was a war that many Caucasians got deferment from, while many Hispanics and blacks was drafted
Pushed right into it.
and pushed right into it. So it was a most unpopular war. Not only many poor Caucasians that didn't have the money got drafted and went over there too.
Was there ever a fear that you wouldn't come back home?
I guess as a young, reckless 18-year-old, fear, I guess we didn't have any fear that we wouldn't. I guess we didn't even, I would say we didn't even think about it. I was over there twice, once for the fall of Saigon and once in Cam Bay, and with two different Marine battalions, two different ships. And I guess the fear of not coming home was not even there being young. When you thought you were fearless. You thought that, you know, the thought of never seeing my family again never crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was the Marines that called me Doc, I held their lives in their hands. If something happened to a young 18, 19-year-old kid, if something happened to one of these guys, they depended on me to save their lives.
Was that a lot for you at that time? Or?
At the time, I did not know it, but later on, I was diagnosed with PTSD from my military experiences in combat, from my environment. At the time, it was.
Was it just seeing them in such a horrific state every day? You know,
not only them, seeing other atrocities over there, seeing things that we tried to push out our mind.
So you didn't even get that experience of just being on a military base and practicing and just being in a specific field. You were put right into... Not
at first.
Okay.
Before I was sent to what was called Westpac, before I was sent to a Westpac cruise, I was sent to the Cyprus-Turkey conflict. We had to evacuate Americans from a conflict between Greece and Cyprus. So that was my first live combat mission with Marines, actually seeing combat as an 18-year-old kid.
So what was the shock value? I mean, you from New York, so that's already like a place where a bunch of stuff is going on. So coming from a place like that to now being in the middle of a war, like what was that transition like for you going in?
And I wasn't actually a street kid. You understand what I'm saying? I was more of a nerd.
Okay.
You know, coming up, I was the most likely kid probably to succeed.
Okay.
In high school. So enlisting in the military, one of the reasons I enlisted because I heard they had free schooling if you enlisted. So that was one of my ways, because my parents couldn't afford college. That was one of the ways I thought I'd do my time and go to college. So I enlisted, and being put into that situation coming to was, you know, at the time, I didn't think it was a traumatic experience or a traumatic situation.
Because it's just a job at that point.
It's a job, you're correct. It's a job at that point. It's a job that I took an oath to do. I raised my right hand, took an oath to serve my country and to, protect it against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
It was a job that as a young kid, 18 or 19, that I did as my brothers before me, as my father did. We all took it as a job. The proudest thing in my father was seeing his sons follow in his footsteps. My mother cried. My father had his chest poked out when I went in the military, as she did for other two sons before me. So it was a job.
Did he give you any advice going in?
My father was soft-spoken and carried a big stick. The only advice he gave me was be proud of yourself. Okay. Never do nothing that you can't look yourself in the mirror at.
That's good advice.
My father had a lot of good advice to give, but he was a man of few words.
Okay. Like many of our dads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lead by example.
Right. And that's what he did.
Is it once you were in the service, what was your expectation going in, other than a way out of your given circumstance?
Really, there was no expectations for me. I guess, and me choosing the Navy, as I can think back and look, it may seem kind of odd, but I was reading a Donald Duck comic book one day, and I decided I'm gonna go in the Navy. My brothers was already in the Army and Air Force, so I said, well, I'm gonna go in the Navy.
Okay.
So there was really no expectations. I mean, as funny as it seemed, it was a Donald Duck comic book that led me into the Navy. So
it really wasn't much information you had about the different services. It was just
it was just I knew as a young age that I was going to follow in my brother's footsteps. So it wasn't whether I was going in the military. It was what branch I was going into. And when my mother had told my brother, he was, thought I was coming in the Army right behind him, but I went in.
So you said some of what you suffered after the fact. Was there any warning signs while you were there in terms of the PTSD or just the high level of stress?
I would say the high level of stress, I would say there is actually no warning signs. I would say for me, let's just speak about me. Right. I would say for me there was no warning signs. For me, I didn't even know I suffered from a lot of that. I was diagnosed with a disorder called dystemic disorder, chronic depression and PTSD.
Because we don't really have any like there was no cameras, so the only reference point that some of us, specifically about the Vietnam War, was the TV show MASH, and just
that was the Korean War.
The Korean War, I'm sorry.
Right.
But just this, what it may have looked like on a day-to-day basis. That was our only reference point,
right,
in terms of what those wars were, because both of them kind of had the same stigma behind them. Like, but that was our only kind of look into what it could have been like on a day-to-day basis. It is a TV show, but it just gave us some for real moments.
Right. For me, if you ever seen the picture Apocalypse Now with Marlon Brando,
okay,
that is, to me, the most realistic example of the Vietnam War. That picture was total chaos.
Okay.
That was the most realistic example to me.
What was the overall like morale, knowing that many people that look like us was pushed into this, or was tricked into it?
In the Navy, they had racism was rampant. I'm not going to say it wasn't. During 1968-69, on the destroyer Kitty Hawk, they had a race ride. Okay, a lot of people are unaware of that, but it's common knowledge if you Google the Kitty Hawk and the race ride.
Kitty Hawk.
Kitty Hawk.
Okay.
Right. Racism was rampant. You know, I had a first class that was straight from the South, that the word boy came out his mouth on a regular. You know what I'm saying?
There was nothing that you all could really do about it.
The Navy still had racism in it. My father used to tell us the story of when he came home from World War II, how he was riding. My mother was from Louisiana, and my father would go to see my mother, and German prisoners of war was held in the South. So he was on a train in uniform, and he would come home on leave, the same people he was fighting. When he got to the South, he had to get up out his seat so a German prisoner of war could take a seat.
Wow. How much had that changed when you and your brothers got in it?
Not much had changed, because minorities, and I was just opening up, like the medical field, the radio field. Minorities were still delegated to certain MOSs, military occupation services, such as cooks, laborers, boatmen's mate. They were still delegated to those.
Many of my family members, that's what they were, cooks.
Right. So they were just opening up fields such as the medical field when I went in and went to hospital corps school in Great Lakes, Illinois.
Was that your interest before, though?
No, that was what I scored on the aptitude test.
Okay.
And I was given, you know, certain job things, and my recruiter said, listen, go into the medical field. It'll be good for you. Be a hospital corpsman. They do a lot of shore duty. You'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? So I said, fine, send me to it.
Did it ever become like, I could do this, or I'm gonna take this beyond this?
When like I said, I was already a nerd. When I got to hospital corps school and we started learning about grams and grains and medical math, I said, yeah, I could do this.
Okay.
I said I could do this. Start
so the
getting
kind of
intravenous.
The educational side kind of pulled you in more.
When I had to give intravenous needles and so forth, I said, yeah, I could do this. Afterwards, now, when I was in the military, I was called doc. I was considered, you know, a low-level doctor. When I left the military and tried to get a job, in the medical field, I was regulated to emptying bedpans.
Oh, wow.
Because
well, there's no way for you to expect that, but
I had to go and get more schooling during that time when I left the military. So for me, it was easier to leave that field.
So you've given us kind of somewhat of an overview of your experience there as you were, because you said you did 6 years during your term. So coming up on year 5, going into 6.
Well, year 5 and 6 was did in the National Guard. After I did 4 years I had 2 years left in reserve. I did 5 and 6 in the National Guard, the 59th Rainbow Division in New York.
Okay. So what was that transition like, going from those 4 years to the?
It was still in the military. Only thing I was doing 2 weeks in the summer and 2 weekends a month. So I was in civilian life, but I was still part of the military. So I was, okay, and still receiving a paycheck.
So seeing what you saw for the first 4 years, how was that transitioning back into that somewhat of a civilian life? What was that transition like?
Back in my time when I left the military, a lot of black guys came home leaving the military and went 2 ways. They either went into crime or they went to law enforcement. I joined the police force.
Okay. So what was that? I mean, even though that was kind of like something that was already paid for you, was that something you thought about, or it was just?
It was a job.
Right.
At the time, I needed a job. I'm coming home.
And you were in New York?
I was in New York. I was going to live with my mother, or get a job and get my own. It was a job.
So did you enjoy that transition, or was it?
Because I didn't keep it for long. So that transition from there into law enforcement did not last me very long, because I went from being a police officer to college into corrections as a case manager when I came down here to Patuxent. So I didn't stay very long into law enforcement, into the business field, because my degree was in business.
Okay. So you ended up finishing school?
I ended up getting a bachelor's and a master's.
And what was the field?
My bachelor's was in business. My master's was from Global University in Religion. I actually got ordained as a minister and became associate pastor at a church for a while.
So you just have done it all. Like
I've done a lot. No, not done it all. I've done a lot, but I haven't done it all.
So the only thing left for you to be is a teacher or a radio personality. Like, what haven't you done?
But there was a time that when I was in between jobs, I did substitute teaching. So yeah, listen, I did that in between jobs.
So you came out and got back into life. It wasn't like a big gap for you, or?
I came out and got back into life because, like my sister actually graduated college and became a nurse, and she got out of nursing because they wasn't paying that much money. My sister told me that, actually you was too young to go into the military, because it affected me in more ways than one.
So how long after coming out did you feel those effects?
I guess right away, because I used to wake up with dreams and nightmares, not knowing that I was feeling those effects. I had saw a psychologist several times while I was in the military, and they diagnosed it as the blue water syndrome and going back to duty, not knowing I was feeling these effects, but I was.
So you just thought this was as normal
as
you was coming out. You didn't really see how deep-seated some of those things were.
No, I didn't.
How long after that was it? Wait, hold on. Before you answer that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, get our stuff together, and then we're going to come back right back with this gentleman. Don't go anywhere. The Artist Exchange radio show only on BigExposedRadio.com.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
This is ready.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
you can't even see the top of that thing.
Even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're now listening to BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this fire flashback.
We
need to relearn what it is to be these bosses and how we conduct ourselves as business-minded individuals and just people in general. I let my gut, and if I call it gut or God or whatever, I'm led by that energy. I know where it comes from. I know where it's, taking me, and you have to figure out what is important to you, and don't play this game. It's a game that we've learned to play, this chess game, and life is not a chess game. Life is real, bones, flesh, blood, decisions.
Make sure you check out the Artist Exchange show every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
This unknown to find who we really are. Crash into something new and take a break from our broken heart. Talk with the hip, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, try not to say too much. Let your love come down. If you wanna rule, it's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move. Don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song with my radio. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. Let the night unfold. I can tell that she can't get enough. Show enough, she couldn't keep her hands off from me. I know she couldn't keep her hands off from me. Touching hands till we dance in the dark. Show enough, she couldn't keep her hands off from me. We do whatever you like. Keep her hands off from me. I know she couldn't keep her hands off from me. Let's slide, you and me alone, to find who we really are. Crash into something new. I got the leg banging up the car. So throw me a kiss, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, I wanna take you, but we gotta cruise so we can lose the crowd. If you wanna rule, there's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Starts now.
Right.
And I can see, well, hold on. So we're back here on the Artist Exchange radio show here live on BeExposedRadio.com. And I think everything works out. I'm a person that believes everything works out, so everybody comes together for a reason. And our conversation is something that's on my mind now. Like, what are we doing? During the break, I asked them a question about, before we went, what happens when these young men are just pushed into this? And is there an alternative? Is this for everybody? And should we be suggesting these young men be recruited at such a young age? I think your answer kind of spoke to what I had already been feeling, and we're being pushed into a space that's not necessarily for us, and most of us are being told that we're not academically inclined,
Right.
or college isn't for you, go get a vocational. And
Right.
many of us are running to the service, and I'm not saying the service is bad, but we're running there from poverty or from struggle, trying to come
Correct.
up, and it's really not for everybody mentally.
It's not. Everybody's not. I've run into so many young kids in their 20s coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq being diagnosed with PTSD because the military is not for everyone, and everyone can't handle some of the atrocities that war brings.
So you're out of the service. You're getting more acclimated to back to civilian life, because you were never grown as a civilian,
right?
So you're getting acclimated to this. What happens?
What happens is life comes at you, and I have a mentor and a friend, Mr. Wanda Holder, that says life didn't stop. You checked out of life when you began to do other things. Life comes at you. You know, and I'm not ashamed to say when life came at me, you know, as strong and as educated and as smart as I was, it was hard to handle because, and you know, and I'm not embarrassed to say because it was part of my life, I began to use substances. Okay, and I began to abuse substances. And for a lot of people don't realize that, you know, drug addiction is just a symptom of deeper problems that people have.
The reaction to the problem.
The reaction to the problem that for some of us we may not even be aware that we had it, like myself.
That's why some people struggle so long to get off of it, because we begin to treat the reaction, the outcome, and not what caused it.
And we begin to, like you said, treat the symptom.
Right.
We don't diagnose the problem. We look at the symptom and treat the symptom. You know.
Did you know that that's what you were running from, the things that you were going to? Or did you just fell?
I didn't know that. Okay, because one time I had I had gotten married, and I had what was called, what the hospitals diagnosed as a nervous breakdown.
An anxiety attack.
But it wasn't. You know, it wasn't then, but this is what they diagnosed it as.
What happened? Like what happened?
I just broke down one day in the middle of the floor and started crying.
Oh, wow.
Out of control. My wife was like, man, this guy done went crazy. Called my mother. It was out of control.
Was that the first kind of like red flag that you had gotten?
For me, it wasn't for me, it wasn't a red flag. For me, I pushed it off after the hospitalization, after being a nervous breakdown, take it easy. But okay, I just went back dealing with society.
Like we all
do.
Yep.
You know,
but when I say was that the first red flag, you know, you said you had started having dreams right after, but
sure, yeah.
Was there any
nightmares
other,
actually?
Was it like a change in your mood, or were you angry?
Yeah. There was. See, anger was a symptom of my depression that a lot of people don't realize. And I dealt with a lot of things by being frustrated and angry, which was a symptom of my depression.
Being a black man.
Right, which I didn't realize. Seeing a lot of black people don't want to speak about that, about having a mental illness known as depression.
So, what did you just not have the vocabulary or the experience to know
the understanding? The understanding. Well, I didn't have the understanding to deal with all these things that was wrong with me. I had 100 things wrong with me, and having a substance abuse problem is just one.
And none of these, but did any of your dad or your brother go through these things? Or kind of have the same reaction to?
My father wouldn't talk about his experiences in World War II, so you would say all of his medals and all of this, he probably did, because he was a man.
But did he see that happening to you as it was happening?
See, back in the eras I came on, black men didn't show their emotions. We were taught not to show our feelings. We were taught that showing our feelings was a weakness. So we didn't show our feminine trait. We didn't show our feelings.
Right.
And you didn't talk about it.
And we didn't talk about it to one another. We didn't talk about these feelings. When we came home, we, what people like to say now, manned up.
That phrase it echoes. You just triggered something, but that's normally how we taught to deal with it, man up, and that means push it to the side.
Push it. We man up. You keep it all inside. Whatever you got going on, you deal with it. You know, my mother always told her 5 sons, a man doesn't ask anyone for help. He makes his way. You know, but that's how we had to be as black people in America growing up in that time.
So what would you say to a lot of these young men that are not only faced with this as an option, but are in it?
Twofold. There's two things that I would say to them, and number one is just what was told to me, man up, and the other thing is there's support out there for you if you need it. Because
but man up in a different definition.
Man up in a different definition. Let's not use excuses for what we're not doing.
Right.
Today.
More like recognize.
Right. That's a better word. You know, today as a young black man in society, there's a whole lot more opportunities open for you to do the things you need to do. So for you as a black man, man up and walk through these doors. My father told me and my brothers, if the door was closed, kick it open. Today the door is there for you and it's open. Walk through these doors, but also look to others for support, for things, and listen, for things that they have been through. They can help you get through these things.
So when you got out of the service, did you know, or was the VA accessible to you?
I did. Before we left the service, we went to a class to tell us everything that was for us and under the GI Bill.
Okay.
10 years of free schooling, VA house loan, VA car loan, all of this stuff that was told. Whether we took advantage or not was up to us. You know, but there was these things that was accessible to us.
And you took advantage.
I took advantage of the educational, because that was one of the reasons why I went to the military. That was my sole purpose of going in, to take advantage of the educational opportunities, and I'm taking advantage of it now under the GI Montgomery bill, because I'm back at Coppin State working on another master's in clinical psychology, and the military, the VA is paying for my schooling.
So you ended up full circle.
Full circle.
All this time that has gone by and everything that you've experienced, the mental health side of it kind of was the thing that shook everything up.
Right.
How did you, or how have you worked on that portion of it?
Paul in the Bible says that I couldn't be the man I am today without being the man who I was yesterday. So being who I was yesterday helped shape me who I am today, helped me use the tools that I have to cope with a lot of things in my life. I like to tell people, and I like to say this, that people used to hate to see me come and love to see me go. Today they love to see me come and hate to see me go. I mean, people today are just, you know, just want to be in my presence. Me and Miss Whitehead, when we first met, she had mentioned to me, I didn't know how to say 3 words because I was still an angry black.
He was very angry that day.
Very angry because...
frustrated.
No.
He was angry.
Angry.
Like here. Yeah. Angry.
You know, angry.
What brought that pinnacle of anger? What brought that on?
Me.
Okay.
Me working more on myself, because I've got to work on myself every day. So me, and there's a young lady that I got to give a whole lot of credit to, Miss Tawanda Holder. She told me all I needed was guidance, and she guided me into certain areas and certain things that I needed to do for myself, to work on myself. And Miss Whitehead sent me to her in that direction. And so meeting her, I was angry at her and we clashed our heads together. But once, you know, I realized that she only had my best interests at heart, and determined to submit to the guidance that she guided me towards, my life began to fall in place. She gave me a picture that I keep in front of me. It's a stick man. And in that stick man, it says it's the 5 areas of life that you need to have together: social, financial, family, mental, physical, and spiritual.
So on that note, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back for our last segment and finish getting this knowledge from Mr. Britton. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com.
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. So no matter what you up, you gotta go hard. Don't matter. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, that's cause my father dead. Mom's bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke because your mother was a crackhead. Older sister hoeing on.
You use tearless baby shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need...
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Front of the class because I was smart. I sit in the front of the class because I actually couldn't understand everything that was being said, so I had to sit in the front of the class so I could listen to what the teacher said. You know, I was to focus. I was actually not not the smartest kid in the class.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. This has been a really interesting conversation, and again, I'm going to have to welcome them back. We're going to talk after the show, Ms. Whitehead. We may have to fix some things where we got a new Veterans Affairs show on the station. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
Okay.
Because we hear about this special population of people around certain holidays, and when certain political things rise up as like a tennis match amongst the parties, but to meet the individuals that are actually veterans is a totally different story.
Yes.
So I want to real quick give the information for this Friday.
Yes.
So we know where to come to, so we can shout
You going to give it out?
No, go ahead. You
All right, so, on Friday, July the 19th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., New Vision House of Hope, the SSVF program, is hosting a Veterans Stand Down at the War Memorial at 101 North Gay Street, across the street from City Hall. It's open to all veterans. We're going to have resources available to you all, available from across the city. There will be refreshments, there'll be exercise in motion, it'll be a lot of things that you need, some fun, there'll be raffles, free giveaways, lots of fun. So please come out and join us, see what's out there, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And it's directly across the street from City Hall on the other side of the grass, that big museum building. sitting right there, and I can't wait to see like how it looks and
how it all
feels.
comes together.
So it'll be a nice Friday daytime
event
to have to come down to.
There's going to be a veteran band that's going to perform.
Okay.
They'll be playing the drums.
And there's no cost associated with this.
Free.
Come as you are.
Come as you are.
So just come on down and get the resources that are for you.
Yes.
And there's a lot of vendors that you said will be there. Yes. I heard a couple food vendors, so come get something to eat, come get a massage.
Olive Garden, Texas Roadhouse, TGI Fridays.
So I'm telling you, you're going to be sleepy and resourced up. So come on out.
Yes.
So as we come to an end to this interview, what would you like people to know about you? Like in terms of your story? I don't like for people to have to make their legacy because we don't know what that is.
Right.
But in terms of where you are in life now, how can you put a couple words to that to describe and to help other people that may be in your situation?
Just where I'm at in life right now, today is, for me, life is good. You know, I'm put, like I said, Miss Holder gave me a stick man.
Okay.
I spoke to that. It's the 6 areas of life: spiritual, physical, mental, financial, social, and family, put all together. And I'm putting that together in my life. That measures how your life is. And together today in my life is good. You know, like I mentioned to you, I'm in Coppin State right now working towards another master's. I'm socially involved. You know, Miss Whitehead asked me to do this interview. You know, life for me is coming together and it's good.
Right.
You know,
which one of those points do you feel like you working on at this moment? Gotta speak truth.
Yeah, I am speaking truth. Family for me is good. I'm gonna always work on my mental, my spiritual is good. I'm always gonna work on my mental and social. My family is good. My financial situation is acceptable for me at this time. I'm always gonna work on my social and my mental stability. That's important to me.
That's your ongoing.
That's my ongoing work, to be stable. And maybe in my future and in my travels, I can help someone else, because that's my goal right now, to help someone else, to bring someone else out there quagmire.
Okay.
That they're not aware of what they're into.
So my number one question that I normally kind of close down the show with is, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? Not to necessarily prevent anything from happening, but to maybe soften the blow, or just give some advice for when them dark days come.
Don't be so reckless. You know, at 18, I was reckless. I had the world by the tail. I was fearless, you know, arrogant, you know. Don't get the word. Don't have the world by the tail.
So that 18th or that 18th birthday, what advice would you have given to yourself?
Just listen more.
Listen
more. When I was 18, I had the world by the tail. You know, I knew it all at 18. You know, I really didn't know half of what I thought I knew. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, take it slow.
Mr. Britton has come a long way. He really has, and not a long time. Truthfully, from the day I met him, I met a very angry person that was a little bit scary. I was like, oh, okay, let's calm down, take it easy, take a step back, let me make some phone calls. Do you remember that afternoon?
I remember that afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, do you know the source of that? I would see it as pain, or I like to call it frustration, because anger is just, it is what we use to call it.
Anger is an emotion.
Yeah.
See, and not to get too technical, and I like to say we're born with two types of intelligences, which is taught to most clinical psychologists: cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is only emotional management. Cognitive intelligence is what they teach us as kids in school: reading, writing, and all them things. Emotional intelligence is just emotional management, managing your emotions, your anger, your happiness, your frustration, your feelings. No one teaches us that as children. As we grow up, nowhere in school do they teach us emotional intelligence. They teach us all the cognitive intelligence we want. Even our parents don't teach us that because no one taught them that.
Right.
So we have to.
It's so restricted that there's no wiggle room between the emotions.
Right. So we have to learn this from wherever coming up. For me, working on emotional management day by day is a chore for me, or I wouldn't say a chore. It's an adventure for me. Working, getting my emotions, learning to manage my emotions and balancing them out.
So being in the classroom now, and you're learning these terms, and you're learning these conditions and these perspectives, what now are you learning about yourself, or what your experience has been?
Right. That it helps me. What I'm learning about myself is that I still have a lot to learn about myself, and my expectations for myself is to keep learning myself and to keep balancing myself out.
So, ending the conversation, where are you going?
Where am I going?
What's to come?
What's to come? I hopefully hope to, in the near future, help someone else along the way. That's my goal. I'm going into this field to help others. That's where I see myself going. Help others, bring others where they don't know they're even at. Bring them up out of it. Like I was where somebody else may be, and someone helped bring me up out of it. There was an old saying growing up in New York, we used to say, each one teach one. You got to keep what you got to give back. And that's all part of service. And that's where I'm going in the future.
So I really enjoyed this conversation, and we're definitely going to talk about extending these conversations, because I feel like you all have so much knowledge, and it goes beyond you being a veteran. I think that's kind of like the commonality and the thread, but the conversation goes beyond, because many of that, especially for young black men, that's stuff that we need right now, because many of us, I'm an 80s baby, but that still was kind of the precursor to us just not having it. We were born into this world where it wasn't enough answers for us, specifically being young black men.
Right.
It just wasn't, nobody was prepared for us. And most of us right now, that arrogance is running rampant, and there's no sense of us or togetherness. So everybody is isolating themselves and becoming more and more dark as time goes on.
And that's the thing. Someone did a survey, and they said since the lynching statistics, black on black crime has killed more blacks in America than lynchings. Since they started keeping statistics on lynchings, that's something that young black men need a direction in the future.
How to kill ourselves.
Right, they taught us a genocide, so they didn't need to do nothing to us because we're doing it to ourselves. And not to say black lives don't matter. When we speak of black lives, let's speak of us killing each other. That matters.
Well, most of us are uncomfortable with that because we're so angry outwardly.
When we don't speak about that and we say black lives matter, those that are in authority that are taking our lives, they say, well, they're taking their own lives, so why should we listen to Black Lives Matter? Because they're not even trying to stop themselves from killing each other. And that's the young men are giving the wrong role models nowadays. They're giving the pimp, the hustler, the rap song, the murderer. This is their role model.
That, like a lot of the people who we put on that mantle, I think are great individuals, but the world just mourned the death of a glorified gangbanger.
Right. This is the wrong role models that they're giving the young black men. Mm-hmm. What happened to the mechanic? What happened to the plumber? Mm-hmm. These are the role models. My father was my hero because he was a laborer on the Long Island Railroad that worked. And then he come and work another job 25 years. Those are our heroes. Those should be our heroes, not the basketball player, because kids don't realize only 1% of everybody coming out of college makes it to the pros.
At all.
At all. Those shouldn't be the role model. The role model should be the one that goes out there in the street and hustles from 9 to 5 job and come home and takes care of his family. Those should be the role models, the plumber, the mechanic, the bus driver. Mm-hmm. You know, those are the role. They don't put those on TV for the kid to see.
Mm-hmm. So we are winding up this conversation, and I'm going to ask Mr. Britton to definitely let's schedule a part 2 where this veteran aside, just try to help figure this out, because many of us young black men, we don't have the answers, and many of us didn't have the role models or the resources or the information to be able to get through it. And many of us are having to live hard lives because that's just what's in front of us. So I'm going to ask him definitely to come back. So we're going to go to a commercial break. We're going to bring in our next guest after that. But thank you, sir. I
You're
really
welcome.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We've been pushing out the word, and we're going to get some people in that space on Friday.
That's right.
So once again, real quick, give us the information for Friday.
Friday, July 19th, New Vision House of Hope. We're hosting the Veterans Stand Down at the Baltimore War Memorial, 101 North Gay Street, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come down, see all of the vendors that are going to be present. There are about 50. There's going to be food, exercise, and education.
Come on back. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com. I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. Exactly. Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature, and I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously, because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do, and I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular, it's getting that person money, it's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, yes. And I was thinking, like,
the Artist Exchange Radio
So, Jacqueline. Yes, Mom? I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text. Oh, there's another one. Wow. Busy me. So, anyway...
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. My friends keep commenting on my comment. Oh, there's another one. So many comments on my comment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch TV tonight. Playoffs!
Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Pew, pew. Wait. Mom, what? Huh?
What? Hold
What'd you say? Wait a second, what?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Just a Bit Outside radio show.
There is one glaring stat that I read about while watching the games over the weekend. New York Yankees went 22 straight innings with at least one strikeout.
Really?
That's a major league record for the postseason.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting statistic.
It is, and then when you think about it, it's like, okay, that, to me, that's like a big reason why, they're losing right now.
You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. So deeply wounded, but don't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. So you just sit there and you suffer in silence. Your pride won't let you just uncover your secret. Don't wanna look weak in your image, it ain't worth losing. So you just act as if it's nothing happening. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. Suicidal, depressed, but you won't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. You feel alone even though the people surround you. Popping pills every night even though you know they can't solve it. The emotional pain, it just seems way too heavy. Your mind is racing, wanna scream, somebody help me. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. These type of people sit right under our noses. We don't find out till we're on IG scrolling. We post a few memes, but then it keeps on happening. Something's gotta change, we gotta start talking and telling the truth without the fear of judgment. Gotta come together and really start loving and heal these people cause they slowly dying. Help them believe that their life is worth living. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. I pray there's an end to this suicide demon. We losing people too soon, they cutting and bleeding. They think no one cares, so I wrote this song to tell you, my God, he cares and he can heal you. He sees you when you're crying yourself to sleep, wondering if anybody hears me. You tell yourself you can't go on no more.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange radio show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't forget, the Artist Exchange is a place for artists, entrepreneurs, community leaders to come on and tell your story. So if you're looking for a unique platform to be able to market and brand who you are and what you're doing, this is the place, the Artist Exchange radio show. We have 6-week series, 6 and 4-week series for artists and entrepreneurs and community leaders to come on and do kind of extended interview over the course of either 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And we partner with your organization to kind of help you market even an upcoming event or just your brand in general. We've had 3 so far. This is our 3rd one that we finished today. So definitely, if you missed any part of the first part of this interview with Mr. Britton, definitely tune in. He had a girth of information and knowledge. We did a 4-week series with the House of Vision and Hope. And they were a veterans organization that helps veterans to with some wraparound services. But without further ado, we have Mr. Rich James with us today, and he'll be starting his show on the 31st.
That is correct.
Here on BeExposedRadio.com, and he's just fly for no reason. He came in here trying to outdo me, but you can't, sir. But first of all, tell us a little bit.
That's why I call him Mr. Couser.
Well, you know, you write it on the check. Just write that on the check. But we have I want people to know a little bit about who you are and what you intend to do here on your show.
Oh, okay. No problem. So I'm a native New Yorker, like your previous guest.
Yeah, that's all right.
Attended Morgan State University.
Oh.
My
Why
undergrad.
would you do that? It was a fashion show. It was a fashion show. That's all it was.
Got my master's from Walden University.
Okay. Eventually, after the parties.
After the parties, right. I did start my PhD at one time. I do plan to at some point kind of navigate
That's a
down
journey.
that road.
I know people right now that's doing it.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends that kind of say, hey, once you start though, I'm not one that just starts things and don't finish them. So I'm kind of, right now I'm going down these other avenues, and the talk show is being one of them. And it actually came to be because I got sick.
Okay.
I got sick and I was in the hospital, out of work for about 45 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so during that time, I kind of took a step back. When I was able up and walking and feeling better, I was out and about, and I asked this question to a couple of different individuals, just random question. What does living a rich life mean to you?
Right.
And depending on the age range, in their life, I got so many different responses, right? So whether it was a big house, a big car, or hey, I talked to older people, it was just good health. And for me, it was good health, right?
Right.
And I kind of layered it into 6 different dimensions. So it kind of led me to say, hey, and again, my talk show is going to be about building the confidence in others that don't know how to enrich their life, so to speak, right? So
it's your brand, not just your talk show.
That correct. So it's,
I said my invoice later.
So I'll take it a step further, Nate. It's not even just a brand, but it's a campaign of life, right? Because to me, it's about change. I'm still changing. I'm still growing. I'm learning things, and not everyone always receives that.
Yes.
Right? They don't always receive the change that you're going through, and it's okay. I think
what people feel about you is none of your business.
Right? Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, when you grow, and folks see that you have grown, then they're open to receive you, and if not, then they might be stuck in the past, and then that's their thing. So.
And it's okay. That is okay. And some people have to take a vacation from each other sometimes to kind of get focused in your line.
I'm taking a vacation now for some folks.
And it's real life. It's real, and it's definitely real. So what are some of the subject matter surrounding that? Because living a rich life is not about money or the stuff. It's really about what makes you happy in life.
Right. So for me, as I mentioned, the first thing is good health, right? And I had a good conversation with my mother, who really was the catalyst of a lot of this as well. You got to have good health. Good health, because you can have all the money in the world, if you don't have good health,
you can't pay for good health.
From there, you have strong relationships, right? I think for me, I have some strong relationships. I have some relationships that I need to work on. And again, like I said, it's an ongoing campaign of life. So whether it's with my children, whether it's with, old friends, but again, having those strong relationships. So we got good health, we have strong relationships. From there, financial freedom, right? You kind of have, again, 1, 2, financial freedom, being able to do the things that you want to do. Am I there? So again, I'm not even there yet from the financial freedom perspective. I'm still working on some debt and reestablishing my credit and doing those different things. But it's a change. It's a constant change. You adjust, you refocus as much as you need to. So that's the financial freedom. Then there's goals and achievement. Okay, so we all set goals, right? Whether it's going to school, whether it's getting a new car, whatever it looks like, you know, raising a family, you set goals and you try to achieve them. So, you know, and sometimes those goals and achievement require some financial freedom.
A little bit, maybe
Right?
a little bit, maybe a lot.
Right? So after the goals and the achievement, then I kind of say, you know, well, what's next? What does that look like? So I say it's extraordinary experiences. So what does that mean, right? So, you know, going to parties and things of that nature, that's all good. But I think at the end of the day, whether it's traveling, whether it's, you know, I like to scuba dive, that's my latest thing. Whether it's whatever it looks like, something new, maybe skydiving, you know? I think sometimes
You think about that lifestyle.
well, no, I no longer. It was on my list for extraordinary experiences.
You got scared?
Let's be clear. Something about jumping out of a perfectly good plane, it just doesn't, you know.
I mean, I would challenge you. If you scared, I mean, say you scared.
Right, but don't be afraid. And then the last piece of it is, once you come to a point where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at a bigger scale, I think once you come to 1, 3, 4, 5, you can do some giving back. So that's that whole philanthropy. You know, and I know a lot of good folks that they give back. That's what they do. They invest a lot of their time, their resources. But at the end of the day, I got to be able to help myself before I can help others, right? So, you know, I do some things. I am a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. I
should have known.
And you might have thought it's one of the other ones. But I think being able to take care and do for yourself is key, so that you can maybe do for others, you know. And I've worked with a couple of different individuals, different organizations, you know, to kind of, you know, give back again. But I think at the end of the day, we all can win. And at a larger scale, that's really where that you know, that philanthropy in me that comes out. So those 6 elements, that's what living a rich life is to me.
So where are you at on that journey? What step are you currently focusing on?
So for each one, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So for me, each element has a different percentage. Right?
Okay.
So let's talk about it.
Where's your deficit?
Right? my deficit, I would have to say, would be first and foremost good health. Because again, I'm still recovering, right? So I'm at about 70% there. Strong relationships. Now I have some phenomenal relationships. I would say I'm at probably about 80% there, because some key ones that I'm still working on, right, are near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
Right? So this goes with more with family members, and again, I'm open. I'll receive them as they come in. So, you know, we're 70, we're 80. Now goals and achievement, I'm gonna put myself at, you know, that's a scaling ladder. I keep adding stuff, right? Launching the talk show is kind of one of the achievements, right? So I put it in motion. So I'd say I'm probably about 70% there, right? And again, it's constantly, so I don't think I'll ever get to 100 when it comes to goals and achievement. And then we talk about financial freedom, right?
Okay.
We're not there yet. Then the extraordinary experiences. You know, I do a little bit of everything, right? you tried to give me the skydive, but
I mean, it's not. I mean, I've done like a step before that, and that's like maybe like the bungee ride.
Or you've done bungee jumping?
No, I didn't do bungee jumping. That's crazy. But
you're scared. Say you're scared.
It's not that. That's just mental retardation to jump into on land, like fall on land. Like that's crazy. But like at the music park where they have like the bungee cord and they kind of shoot you up.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not afraid of it, but I've had quite a few, actually 2 different organizations that wanted to like sponsor a trip, and then people chickened out, and then you like, well, what happened? I was getting geared up. What happened? But again, the third person is scared now. But it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, and then again, so then philanthropy. Again, I think I could do more. But again, as I focus on some of the other elements, the amount of time that I give back and do different things, So.
And philanthropy isn't just about a blank check or writing a check to someone.
Agreed, because I can't write no checks right now like that.
Well, claim it.
I like that. A friend of mine, she said, I'm speaking positivity, right? So everything that comes out now, I say, hey, it's positivity. I'm a pretty positive person.
Yeah, write that check. Write it out and just put it somewhere. So you always gotta focus on it.
Who still uses checks, Nate?
I mean, rich people still use checks. How you get your paycheck? Direct deposit.
Direct deposit, but
it's still a check.
True.
I'm just saying.
True.
Don't knock it. I'll take a check.
I know that's right.
But where are you in terms of some of the things that you are doing in your life and want to do in your life is all full circle. So the adventures that you're taking are based on your experiences that you're having and things that you're kind of dealing with and getting through and getting over. Was this always a part of your strategy, or did it kind of fall in your lap as experience does?
So I think I won't say I think my mother really, she was a good guide. She was an excellent guide. However, I kind of the youngest of 3 boys.
Okay.
Spoiled. I was spoiled until my sister came along. But I think my mother was a good guy, but I still being spoiled. Kind of. I didn't make some of the best decisions.
Lessons got real expensive.
Yeah. So when I think back, full circle, as you mentioned, I would do some things differently.
Like what?
Well, I had an opportunity to go to college, several colleges, on scholarships. I did not do that. My mother came down to Morgan State, first year, paid cash money. After that, she said, "You're on your own."
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I like to tell that story because it's real. My mother's just phenomenal when it comes to finances, but that didn't quite rub off on me. So again, that financial freedom, I'm still working on that piece.
So what was it about? Was it just because many of us that go to college, we get into that whole socialite space, and we begin to pay for a lifestyle versus planning ahead and focusing on what's ahead of us.
Right.
And we began to be more social butterflies, and that becomes expensive.
Well, for me, it wasn't even that, because I was again, from high school, I was an athlete. I was pretty popular.
What you play?
I played basketball and football.
Okay.
I was pretty popular. I came to college. Quite a few of my friends from same high school came. Some from surrounding high schools. And then I pledged my second year in college. So I was pretty popular anyway. And my lifestyle was, hey, I'm going to parties, but I was still focused again because that's just how I was raised in terms of getting the education piece. I think for me it was bad habits. Right? So, it was just bad habits, right?
We're going to call them bad habits.
That's what we're going to call them. Bad habits that once I got, I was like, okay. I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of fun. And kind of learned that, hey, you got a problem. You got an addiction. And you need to adjust that, right? And to be quite honest, for me to even talk about it now, I wouldn't talk about it before, right? Because where I was kind of now gets me to a better place, right? So if you're going to try to talk about my past, I wouldn't be where I am today now. If they try to, so you can bring it up all you want, right? And it does happen. Folks kind of bring up the past.
What's in the newspaper or something? What is going on?
No, not at all. Not at all. People got their mind.
Okay. Right? I'm going to have to do some Googling.
But at the end of the day, I think it is really, it was just bad habits and bad decisions. When you're younger, you make bad decisions.
Because you think you got forever.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned it. A friend of mine had said to me yesterday, right? he's like, okay, so write your age on the board, right? So you write your age on the board, and then if you look and you count the number of days before that, and the number of days ahead, you got a lot less days ahead. If you think about it, right? So, you know, you kind of put things in perspective.
That's kind of dreary. What kind of meeting was this, sir?
You know, just, you know, folks randomly kicking it, right? Like I said, I got some strong relationships that we can talk. We talk like that. So it's a good look.
So in terms of living this life, what are some of the things that you would speak to people that may be where you were in terms of making those reckless decisions?
Okay.
Blowing your whole rebate check on a trip to Miami. See, you think people don't get it.
No, that's because you went to school too. See, so you know. What?
He caught up. He didn't think we had it.
Folks was getting cars with them rebates, right?
I mean, that was a good car loan compared to what a real car loan would look like, but
you ain't know how you're gonna pay for insurance.
right? Because you got to wait a whole nother semester to get that next check. So what you gonna really do with this? Checking all the boxes. Just give me everything you can give me.
Goodness.
Now you can frown about Sally Mae.
Right. Oh goodness. So I'm sorry. What was the question? Look at it.
What are some of these things that you would give advice to or speak to in terms of people that may be that freshman in college or that spoiled kid that just don't know what life about to be about?
Right. So for me, I think again the show is going to be geared towards providing folks change, understanding that things can change. I'm a still firm believer that people change. So change, grow, whatever words. I'm not gonna get on semantics with you, right? But
at your core,
for good health, right? Sharing some of the information out there in terms of good eating,
right?
You know, again, whether it's mental illness, providing information to the individuals that just don't know. Because if you don't know, you don't know. There's information out there as it pertains to good health. As African Americans, we're prone to certain diseases more than other races. So that from a good health perspective, sharing that type of information. Strong relationships. Some folks don't know how to have strong relationships. They just don't. They don't know how to have relationships, right? So sharing some of those tidbits or ideas on how to build strong relationships, how to maintain them. There's a lot of it involves communication. Financial freedom. Right now, I'm not the biggest individual to kind of say that, but I'm gonna speak to the fact that I got a good, strong relationships that kind of help me and build. And again, my mother, she's phenomenal. My brothers are pretty good, and my sister, pretty much everyone. Again, I was a spoiled child. But I think understanding some of the things that available from a financial freedom perspective, better credit, how to clean up your credit, because these things I used to do. So then again, goals and achievement, giving folks information on how to achieve their goals, writing stuff down, little tidbits, things like that.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We have one more segment, and we're going to get to some of those addictions. Sorry, I'm joking. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want some gentle encouragement.
Then you're on your way to your GED diploma and a better life.
But I know they're probably just a little bit nervous.
You can find it in yourself to take that first step.
You can improve your future. You can do this. I know you can.
You need to start pushing yourself.
Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need to get your GED diploma, we've got a pep talk that's right for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and find free GED classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was Weeders, of course, one with a home run.
Hit the home run.
Right.
They were going into that National Series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game. That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and weigh in on my who's not, and I'm going to talk about the San Diego Padres.
The Padres. That's okay. You just took my answer.
They're in last place in the NL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Their run differential is a negative 65, which is just horrible. So when you have, well, let me just talk about run differential a little bit. It's kind of like the
how much you're winning or losing your games by, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. It's like the margin of victory, kind of.
Right.
So when you're in a negative number, that means that you're.
Then your average game you're losing
by a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, a number like negative 65, this early in the season is pretty rough.
That's horrible.
Then the pitching numbers pretty much support this stat right here. I mean, the team ERA is 4.70, which is 26th in the league. They have 126 walks allowed. They acquired Jared Weaver in the offseason, and he really has not panned out. He's off to one of the worst starts in any of the pitchers in 2017. He's 0-4 with a 6.05 ERA. In May alone, he already has 12 earned runs. 12 earned runs in May. And, another one of their pitchers, Clayton Richard, he's 2-4 with a 4.34 ERA. And, in May, he has 6 earned runs and 12 innings pitched. So they're not pitching well. And on top of that, they are also not batting well.
Right. But it kind of sucks because Manuel Margot is doing pretty good. His the past few at bats, his last.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate. I think that's the first time I said that today. That's crazy. But we have Mr. Rich James of Living a Rich Life Talk Show.
Yes.
Coming on, I was about to say May 31st. I'm thinking about getting older. But on July 31st, we're going to have him here from 5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Eastern Standard Time. And we're just having a conversation just about who he is. I'm trying to figure out what those addictions were. I'm kind of nosy, very inquisitive. But what are some of those challenges? I'll ask it that way. That's how you put it in there. What were some of those challenges that you had to face in terms of who you are?
So, and there wasn't so many. It was actually really just it was really one. It was really one driving factor, and it was gambling. It was gambling.
I thought he was gonna say porn, but
no.
Nothing that salacious.
No. I make my own.
Oh wow.
But it really was gambling.
Gambling.
It was gambling. That was my addiction. It was.
What was your
game of choice? Game of choice was Texas Hold'em poker. I learned how to play that.
So you two, you want to be a socialite. That's who you are. That's that rich people game.
Like me give it to you straight, give it to you raw. They want me to give it to them raw. So bottom line is Texas Hold'em. I learned how to play that game, and I was
You
good.
thought you learned how to play
No,
the game.
I learned how to play the game, and I was good. So it started in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Atlantic City, and I remember
Atlantic City will get you because they'll
Atlantic
spot
City,
you.
I was killing. I would kill him in Atlantic City, kill him. And then, again, this was years ago. This is when Atlantic City was a place to go. This is before casinos were here in Maryland, right?
Okay.
So then they brought in Live, right? So, I'm still going to Atlantic City for a little bit.
closer to home.
Right? But I was still hitting Live. And I started hitting Live. And then they brought in this Horseshoe. And Horseshoe gives you a lot of action.
Now, when they brought in Horseshoe, they put these posters all around the city. And he drove past all of these billboards with these Gambling Anonymous.
Yeah.
He drove right, he probably looked at them.
I
Knew
looked
some
at
of the faces on them. And still.
Hell, I thought one time I was going to put my picture on it. Because
They
going
got
back
your
to
picture up there, but it ain't where you wanted to be at.
But going back to that, I've damaged a lot of relationships because of gambling.
Yeah.
Right? I've missed.
People don't like the broke friend.
What? And not only that, man, one that doesn't follow through. Right? So that that ultimately impacted my strong relationships that I had. Right? Because I've missed weddings.
Because you was at the casino.
Because I was at the casino. I've missed weddings.
What is wrong with you, sir?
I have missed, right? So it's past, right? Let's be clear. Let's be clear. If you want the business, I'll give you the business.
But the wedding's over, sir. So
yeah, well, no, right? So, but again, after they had a conversation and then you admit, right? So again, we talking. I'm in
past
my 40s,
tense, past tense. Okay,
exactly. So stay with me. But literally, I mean, funerals, weddings, birthdays.
What funeral did you miss, sir?
Shoot, it was a good friend of mine. Well,
I mean, because you were chasing that win.
Were
you losing at that point?
Well, at that point in time, I was winning.
Okay.
And I remember that, I was winning, and just again, that was just like, it was a rush, man. I've always been a competitor.
What time of day would you go?
Shoot, man. Well, it depends, If I had a day off or something, on vacation, man, I go in there. I'd be in there for hours. I'd be in there for days, maybe. Especially if I'm staying in a hotel.
But see, that's a strong addiction. I had a friend once, and it was the last time I went to Atlantic City before they even redid the boardwalk and everything. That's how long it's been, and I would never return. We got there. We just was going to take a day trip.
Right.
Me, him, and another friend.
Change that.
And me and the other friend, we weren't gamblers. We were just going along for the ride.
Right.
And I remember us getting up there.
Did you even drink? The drinks are strong.
I don't drink.
You don't drink.
So it was like, what am I doing here 3 days later?
Right.
And he was winning so much in Atlantic City. As you win, they give you things.
Yeah.
So it started off with me and my friend taking his vouchers to get a free dinner, to us checking into a room. And they were giving him these things because he sit at that table.
Right.
We were for me, I was like, this is weird. I knew he was a card person,
Right.
but I didn't think it was a problem.
Right.
And 4 days later, we done went shopping because we had no clothes.
Right, yeah.
And he was winning, so we went shopping on him.
Right, yeah.
Got an outfit, a couple outfits, because we needed to change clothes. We got a room. Actually, he had the room for a week. Yeah. That's how much he was winning. Yeah. And then he would, and it was literally, they were closing down sections of the casino, and it was still tables open, but as people were leaving, these people wouldn't leave. And he was there, and I just remember like saying, let's go now.
When you're up. That's
like, let's go.
Yeah, but anything you'll notice in the casino, so of course there's no windows, there's very little light, right? And wait, you ever notice there's no clocks in there?
Why would that need to be?
No clocks. I mean, sometimes people, better have a watch.
Right, a cell phone.
But again, right, but it's even, when you think back, to have a flip phone back then. Right, so now it's Team iPhone, it's your phone. But again, ultimately, that was an addiction. It was serious.
What did it take? How much did you lose?
Oh, well, we're not gonna go there. But
it's gone now. What you holding on to?
Yeah,
it still hurt.
It's gone. No. I let it go. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of money.
What did it cost you?
What did it cost me? Oh man. So it cost me some relationships. That's the first thing. It cost me some property.
Okay.
So whether it's car, house. So it has cost me some things in the past. But the main thing really, it cost me some relationships. It cost me some serious relationships.
So some trust issues that you were.
Yeah. You know, when I think about it, I was like, you know what? I must push forward. I did do the GA, you know, and I stopped. And again, let's be clear, because once in a while, I would go hard. Okay. I would go hard. But even so now, I don't go as much. And they say I shouldn't even go in there, but I know when to stop.
I mean, it's relative. Like
it is.
If you can't deal with being around it, then it's still a problem.
Yeah.
So as we close out the show, I like to ask people, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? I mean, it was like 50 years ago, but what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
Did you just say it was 50 years ago?
I mean, relatively speaking.
Right. You know, I got to tell you, when I think about it, whew, not my 17, because 17 was good times.
But it's still advice, because 17 was a precursor to everything else. So it's not to necessarily prevent anything from happening.
Right.
But 17 is still that age where things become, you become aware of life. Right. And
I follow you.
Parents can't lie to you the way there's no more, Easter Bunny, all those things are gone.
No Easter Bunny.
No Easter Bunny, I'm sorry, sir. But 17 is just that weird age, because you're not quite, but you're no longer.
Yeah.
And it's really a defining age, but it's not to prevent anything, but it's more so to just give some type of information to some resources.
Right. So I would say, listen to. There's never an issue for me, but I would say listen to the elders. Take the time, in a good way.
Oh my God. He's there. He's officially a part of Be Exposed Radio now.
But I think, again, so I would say listen, follow through. And these are things that, again, my mother would just instill in me.
And it makes sense now.
Right. It makes sense now, yeah. At the end of the day, even when you have kids, I think. Also, again, I would say from having children, plan accordingly. I know things happen, but protect yourself. Just from that perspective, be smart in those decisions. That's a major thing. I love my children. I'll be clear, but at the end of the day, shoot, I might be a millionaire if I had that.
Well, if you had a plan, if you had a plan for children versus
exactly.
shooting the clubs out.
Yeah.
As they would
Sometimes
say.
I tell my friends, hey, you want some kids, let me know. I can't miss.
Wow. You know who to stay away from now.
Well, hey, you wanted it raw, so I'm giving it to you, right?
Not that raw, son. That's raw, really, literally. But this has been another installment of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Up next, just a bit outside. Also, tune in July the 31st, Wednesday, July the 31st, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Living Your Rich Life.
Living a Rich Life.
Living a Rich Life talk show. You can find them on Facebook now. And I'm sure you'll have an Instagram, Twitter, and all those things up. Where can people reach you? To be a guest on the show or to sponsor?
Yeah, so you can reach me on Instagram at livingarichlifeunderscore.
Okay.
As Nate mentioned, you can reach me on Facebook, Living a Rich Life Talk Show.
Okay.
And my website will be official by the end of this week, which will be livingarichlifenet.
Okay.
So those are ways you can reach me. I'm working on, I got a good guest list.
Okay.
Just to put a shameless plug in, again, Living a Rich Life Talk Show. We are featuring Jason Bass on the 31st for the premiere show.
Okay.
And we got a lot of good stuff happening, and it's going to be fun. We have some fun with it.
Cool. So we're going to follow up with Mr. James and see where he's going, and he might come back before his show comes up. It's really up to him.
I think I want to. Yeah. I'm almost certain, right? Nate's been wonderful.
I really try. But we're gonna get off air so we can make room for Just a Bit Outside. Tune in, all sports, and they may throw a little something in there with it. But we'll be back on Friday, 5 p.m. the same time. So I'll see you. We have an interesting guest this week, so definitely tune in. Peace out.